He looks.
Okay, I want to bring this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Bellick? Here. And Mr. Bayes, I'm here. Okay, we got three pieces that we have to go over here. One is also referred back to committee. I will go over that one last. But the first one is an ordinance authorizing the treasurer of the city of Struthers to open a bank account with the Huntington Bank for the purpose of transactions related to the city of Struthers, self-funded hospitalization, and declaring an emergency. Mary, you want to go upon this and say something about it, what the treasurer's going to do?
We just need to open up a separate bank account.
That's all? I'm just going about what Dallas always does, so.
And I think we're gonna have a different carrier for our insurance plan, and I think they may come in and present to our group at a later date, but.
So we're switching from, what you call again?
We're switching from Anthem, and it's a type of self-funded plan. So we will be the carriers, and we will be using the Cigna Health Network.
So it'll be self-insured.
Yes, it's a type of.
We have enough people to do that?
Yes. Yeah, well, this is where we're gonna be in a group with other
Cities?
Oh,
cities, so it's not a consortium, but it's a type
of everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
It was that or take an 18% increase, and obviously that's not
Wait, do
good,
we
but
have
this
claims?
is
Do we have claims?
not as large as we had in the past,
Yeah.
so that's why we were all very confused by it.
Okay. Well, everything's
Yeah,
going
but
up.
this option, I think, even if it hadn't been that large of an increase, we still would have went with this, because there's ways that the employees and the city can save a lot of money. We've spoke with other municipalities who are in the program, and they,
They are accepted by the
Yes.
hospitals and things like that?
yes, yep. Nothing on our plan will change, no
Coverage and everything?
coverage, everything is exactly the same,
Okay. Well, that's good.
yes.
Any motion to bring it up?
Make a motion to bring it up.
I'll second it.
Is that signed?
No,
I don't think it's signed.
Not with this one. I'll have him sign it.
hopefully we get that.
Yeah, oh, really shit.
So you can have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, just keep it.
Okay, the second one is a resolution determining to proceed with the submission to the electors of the question of the levying of renewal tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and declaring an emergency. Once again, Mary, would you like to speak on it?
That's just something, I know it's been discussed before, but we have to, it's the renewal for the road resurfacing,
road.
so it's nothing new, no increase, nothing like that.
Very good. Motion to bring it up.
Make a motion.
I'll second that. Okay, the third one is being brought back to the table, and it is an ordinance appropriating a sum not to exceed $1,000 from the 2023 general fund budget, appropriation 9,000 miscellaneous category contingent, number 100-900-053-024, for the Higgins Reardon Funeral Home and Cremation Services for an indigent Struthers resident and declaring an emergency.
Can I speak on that before you go any further?
Yes, you may.
I think procedurally, what we did last week was wrong. And I'm sorry, because I was sort of surprised when I started hearing no's on the floor. Wasn't really expecting it. It was voted down. So then we can't, in turn, vote to send it back to committee. I think procedurally, it needs to be brought out again as if it had never came yet. Furthermore, I don't know exactly what the issues were, why everybody voted no against it, and I was hoping that someone can at least enlighten me on what the thinking was there.
Well, can I speak?
Yeah,
My thinking is I just thought, how many indigent people do we have in the city of Struthers, and how often does this happen? Now that it did happen, is it going to occur more and more and more, and how much more are we going to have to spend in the future for this? this be a pattern for people now, that they know that we're able to do this.
If I may also speak, I'm agreeing with Rick on that. I think that if we do it now, is this going to set a pattern for people to make an excuse or come up with, I may apologize for saying the word excuse, but is this going to set a pattern for us therefore?
Well, I don't think there's much, I don't think you have much choice in it. I think it's a requirement under the Ohio Revised Code that this get done, so I don't see how we get around.
So let's face the facts that if the body isn't claimed on an indigent person, then that would be liable
Well, when
on
you
us.
say indigent person, we're not talking necessarily about the person who died. We're talking about the person who is claiming the body. The law reads, when a body is found, or someone dies and it's not claimed, then we have to bury it. It goes on to say we are not relieved from that obligation if it's claimed by an indigent person.
Okay,
So it's not necessarily the financial status of the person who died, but it's one, was the body claimed, and then two, if it was claimed, was that person who claimed it indigent
I think
or not?
that's what we needed clarification on. I believe so.
And the indigency requirements are established, the criteria are established by federal law. I don't know what the amounts are under the federal law, they change a lot, but it is based off of the federal law, so there should be a sort of a bright line rule on whether or not you're indigent, or whether or not the person is indigent.
Yeah, I don't think the city has a problem paying it if we are required to do so.
And then lastly, don't forget, we get reimbursed for this.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Who
I think it
reimburses
just
the
needed
state?
clarification.
So we get, well, I don't remember ever that being brought to our attention, we get the money back.
Yeah.
I think if that was brought out at the beginning,
It was.
Yeah,
The first time this
yeah,
ever
it
came up,
was, it was.
I don't remember it, I'm sorry.
and I apologize too, it might have been different, but this said person in question, don't they have family members?
that I
She was
don't.
claimed by or
There is
she or he,
there's
whoever.
somebody out
The
there.
person that claimed the body was an indigent person.
So, and that.
They're indigent, not the person that
That died.
deceased.
And that's the criteria.
That's the
It's
criteria.
It's not, again, it's not so much the financial or status of the person who died, it's the financial status of the person who is claiming
Claimed
the
the
body.
So- And I think that's what we need clarification of, and I think that does it.
And I just wanted to talk about it right now because I'm not gonna be here next week, and I was hoping, I think Megan was the one who might have had some pushback on it. I wish she was here. So I just wanted to bring it up that I don't see how we get around it. I think it's a mandatory thing that we gotta do.
So in this whole situation, how did they find out that they were able to do this, and how?
If I remember what Bob said correctly, the funeral home contacted him and said, we've got this body, we need pay.
So the funeral home basically may have told this indigent person that the city was responsible for?
I have no idea what
That's what I'm saying, because I mean, if, I'm not picking or saying anything, there's anything wrong with indigent people, but how in the world would they know that we were responsible for this?
the funeral home would probably know this law.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah, right.
They would know the law.
And they probably had told this indigent person.
I can't make
or
that
the
assumption.
The person said that they can't afford to do it.
Yeah, I can't make that assumption.
Sorry, that's all. I mean, things just.
So I guess what procedurally it should be,
Right out again.
well, a new one, I guess, should be brought out, because we couldn't have sent it back. And I think what will end up happening is if we don't pass it, then what will likely happen is that the funeral home's going to sue us and likely win. So, for what it's worth there, just so you guys are aware.
But we are gonna get reimbursed by the state for this stuff.
The state has a fund that is set up for this, and then once we pay for it, and then we submit everything to the state, and to my understanding, they reimburse 100%.
I mean, if that's the case, that's fine, and that's not gonna be on the hook for every individual person in the city, having to make another category in our budget. For that.
When Bob first brought this to my attention, I was surprised. My first reaction is no way. And then I looked into it, and that's when I found this statute, and it was a surprise to me too. But I guess it makes sense.
Well, that's
I mean,
clear.
you talk about cities like New York City and people that die, bodies aren't claimed. Something's got to be done with the bodies.
Well, I've been doing this for 12 years, it's the first time.
First, and it might be the last time you ever
Yeah.
hear of it too.
So, okay,
Alright, so, what should we do? Should we,
make a motion, to bring it
make
out.
another motion to bring this out? And this, bring this out in next week's meeting, because I don't think we're gonna have enough here to.
can
You bring it out committee.
You can bring it out, yeah,
Yes,
you can bring it out
you can.
committee, and then bring it out on the, bring it out for another vote
Next week.
next week.
Alright,
I just, does that have a specific number to it?
No,
Not yet.
It did not have a number to
No.
it yet. Even though it got voted down, it still, it doesn't get.
it does not get a number, yes.
So we can keep the same language.
Yeah, it keeps saying,
Yeah,
it
you
keeps
keep the
language,
same.
I just didn't know if there was a resolution number on there. I would not use this, if there was, I would not use the same number as was used last week.
alright, I'm gonna make a motion to bring this out, in the next committee meeting, next Wednesday, before caucus.
You can bring it out now.
Yeah.
I can bring that now?
Yeah. Make a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Alright.
So that would be on our agenda next week to vote on.
Anything else for finance and legislation, Mayor? Anybody else?
Mayor, I don't know if you know or not, guardrail by John Dean's house got involved in an accident. Is that on, do you know if it's on schedule to be replacement, repaired,
We
or?
were waiting for something with the insurance company, and we asked, I believe we asked Bova and Rudzik, and I think Rudzik is taking care of it. I don't think we heard back from Bova.
Okay, so you're waiting for like the insurance company?
Yes, there's something that Bob was waiting on, but he's on
Okay.
top of it. I don't know.
But it's on the table.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
One thing, if that's okay with you,
Sure.
on the code of conduct or code of ethics for the city council, I'm okay with what we have here. I think we need to get something that we agree on. We can always amend this and add to it. I think it's a good starting point. Do we need legislation to pass this, or is it just a
Well-
roll call vote?
May I ask Megan, did you give everybody a copy of what was handed to us by
The what?
the code of conduct policy that the mayor gave us and everybody wanted a copy last week?
I said I wasn't going to copy all that.
You put
It's
it-
pretty thick, but I could send it to you guys all.
They, council wanted a copy so they can review it.
Okay.
What'd you send us today?
I don't know what I sent you. Oh, the thing that the mayor had. I have to scan it all in. The Struthers thing you sent me. You said for me to make copies for everyone?
The policy you gave me,
No, it's a different one.
council wanted a copy of
You
all
sent
that.
me, you had to download it. It was like a presentation almost.
Was it the,
Struthers thing.
was it the comprehensive plan?
Yes, the
Oh, okay.
comprehensive. Yeah, I sent that
Okay.
all to them. I forgot about
Because that's a
this.
huge document.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
huge, Megan has a copy and I have a copy. If you wanted to actually
Well, it's-
read this hard copy, get one or the other, or.
But you said that it didn't have anything to do with council vote, correct?
No, it didn't, but it has interesting information in it that you may want to
Add to it.
add to ours. That was the idea, and that's what I thought council wanted to read it for, to maybe add to ours or whatever. Read it over, let me know.
Well,
Somebody.
we don't wanna bring this out next week again.
Well, I wasn't prepared, because I never
Well,
heard from council on
So
what
we'll
they
just,
wanted
we'll
to
wait till
do.
after recess after that to bring that out then.
Right,
So
but
what would it be,
No, wait, wait,
a
wait.
resolution or just a round table roll call?
I would do it by resolution.
resolution, the law director suggested. But this particular policy that the mayor gave me, council wanted to review it, and I haven't heard whether they reviewed it, they want to add or use this, any part of it to
Well,
put
we haven't
into
seen
ours.
it yet.
Yeah, I have to give it to you.
I thought
So,
that's what you sent today.
I didn't.
You sent
I
the
totally
comprehensive plan today.
There's a link on there. And speaking of the comprehensive plan, since we're in finance and legislation, the next step is that we have to adopt the plan. So again, it's not anything that's set in stone, but it's a resolution that we're in support of
So the
plan.
product that's gonna be sent to us is the final product.
Yes, yep, that's what's sent to you. And then I just got a copy to the grant that we received through Jobs Ohio and Team Neo. We just got another plan for some of the buildings in downtown. And that's been completed, but they are going through editing phases, so once I have that too, I'll attach that, so
Nothing with that Lost Galaxy.
that's what's in there.
Oh, really? It's in there.
Yep, that's like one of the main key donors.
Very good. All right, anything else from anybody? All right, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. We adjourn.
All right. I'd like to call this the Parks and Recreation meeting to order. This is Bill. Yes, and I am here. I guess we have some guests to talk about the dog park that we've been hearing so much about. So if you'd like to introduce yourselves, or I don't know who was going to do the speaking. Or if
Certainly, I'll
everybody
get
had
up. I'm
something.
Josh Miley. I'm the president of Struthers Unleashed. We'll kind of go through our story here. And to my right are John and Jackie Halvo, as well as Aaron Cook and Richard Gage. We are the five mighty that make up this 501c3 that we'll talk about. So,
Okay.
unfortunately, I didn't bring my clicker, so I'm going to stand by my computer as we run through this. It will not take long, but it's fun and exciting. And I hope you like cute dog pictures because our imagery has it throughout. So as we can see, we were born out of the Discover Struthers initiative that you guys were just chatting about. We are a full committee of just 5 Struthers residents. Our first meeting was initially in July of 2022. It came from working with the city consultants and them reaching out to us and saying, hey, via the online Discover Struthers platform, you said that this is something you would like. Would you want to talk about it? And we said, sure. And then in talking about it, it was, we really want this to be led by citizens, so you can kind of take it over. And from there, that's when we started to form and started to build out. Aaron and I were at those initial meetings. We were able to bring Mr. Gage and Jackie and John on after that, and we just started building throughout the winter and through there to kind of get up to the point of where we are now. We are officially a 501c3. That happened on March 21st, 2023. Again, help with KO Consulting doing all of our paperwork to do that. And we officially announced publicly on May 20th at City Cleanup Day all that we are working towards. So again, here's our full group and where we all live. I live up on West Wilson Street. Mr. Gage lives on Maplewood Avenue. Aaron's down on Como. And John and Jackie over on West Oakland Boulevard in Nebo. And that is us at City Cleanup Day. So the overall mission and vision for our park is all about having a place for our dogs to run free, off their leashes, and be able to exercise and enjoy with supervision from their owners. This once again came out, it was one of the highest voted, it was the highest voted actually, recommendation out of the Citizen Lab Engagement Platform. And that spread across from people that are retired down to people that are in high school. So really it was a full cross-section of the city, which is very exciting. What we're aiming to do is have a 144-foot by 50-foot fenced-in area with dual gate entries, which if you've been to dog parks, what dual gate means is you walk in a smaller space with a gate that locks before you open the gate to actually get into the area where the dogs play. That way dogs cannot run out and there's no, as one person's coming in and one is going out, overlap of that. We want to have some benches. We're going to obviously have welcome signage, waste stations, and openings for mower access so it can be consistently trimmed. When we talked about where to put this within the city, we worked initially with the Discover Struthers team to brainstorm potential locations. Our group then went out over the course of fall and winter to look at some of the sites. We created a top list, and then we conferred with the mayor's office on what our final options potentially would be, and then got word back from the city and through us on where we wanted our initial proposed site to be. We needed a proposed site to begin fundraising because, as you know, as you're out and about, if you say I'm putting a dog park in a city, the first question out is, cool, where's it going to be? So we needed our location. So in our breakdown of where we looked at, our top spot was Wilson and Garfield. It's owned by St. Nick's. They politely said, no, you cannot have our land. We looked at Mickler Park. It's very high use. There are some mobility concerns getting down the hill. You know, we have to consider we have some senior citizens who, you know, if it's a flat surface to get to the park, they'll be able to take their dogs, let them run around, have more energy run out, and these are people that can't necessarily always walk their dogs. We looked at Mothy Park, but again, it's high use. There's multiple current installations. There are some things that are already being talked about. Fifth Street Park was an option. There are flooding concerns there, unfortunately, and there's a lack of parking. It would only have to be street parking. Northside Ridge came up. Mobility concerns for our older residents. Future economic development is a potential over in that area. There's, again, parking where it would only be on the street. And then sound anxiety for, I say patrons, but again, we're talking about the dogs, right? When you've got trains going by, when you've got trucks going by consistent, there's just a lot going on, and you can see dogs getting unnerved. And unnerved dogs, when they are together and congregating, they're going to want to nip at each other more and more. So it's just kind of, it's not ideal. We looked at Caslow, but again, there's future development that might happen down there. Sound anxiety from being downtown, and again, ownership concerns. We're not quite sure, you know, if we'd even be able to go down that route with them. Hamilton Lake and the dead end at Overlook Boulevard, both are not owned by the city, and both we asked, said no, we're happy having our land. Sexton Street School is, you know, obviously the school board owns that. You know, it's that front strip in front of the trees. It's not owned by us and currently not available to our knowledge. So that's where we landed at Grim Nebo Field, where there is use by the Struthers Little Wildcats, but there's a vast space. We can say, you know, arguably 3 football field sizes. There's ample parking. It's relatively flat, like the grade to get down is pretty easy, and it's accessible for everybody. Quiet's also another thing. When we looked at where we wanted to put this at Nebo Field, we were thinking back by the tree line, so we're farthest away, and this will be on the next slide, but farthest away from where everybody's houses are. We're out of the way so that, you know, if you can notice, that's behind where the goalposts are. So we're out of the way for the Struthers Little Wildcats to do any and everything that they basically want. And although the orange line looks like it's right up against the trees, it'll be enough space there so that if the kids were like me and you had to run laps, you're still going to be able to run behind that all the way around the tree line to do the full lap of the space. We did consider the other side of Nebo Park, the other side of the parking, I should say. Again, that's right up against people's houses. Personally, if I had fence in a house and I've got my dog, he's always going to be barking. When I walk my dog at Mothy, the people that line up kind of heading up towards Manor, their dogs always come out and bark at my dog. I was hoping to avoid that. So that's why we initially landed on that spot. Again, this is the quick rundown of everything that I just said, with the other mention of it's an easy access for the mowers because everything's flat, right? Easy to get in, and it'd be a new destination in the Nebo area. Digging our paws in, this is what we've done so far and how we're kind of building out. We want to be fully funded by the community with donations, no tax dollars going to this. That was a big thing coming out of the city initiative. That's why we took on 501c3 status. Our goal is $50,000. $38,000 of that is fencing and installation. Fencing has just gone up and out the roof, and that is going to be our biggest cost. We aim to reseed the entire dog area. The one thing with the space that we've picked, that's where the bonfires had been, so that area definitely needs reseeded. Benches and trash receptacles will be there. Branding and signage costs, so as we go out and solicit businesses, we're saying for $500 you have a 2x6 sign, so obviously there's a small printing cost that goes with that. And then, you know, we've thought of security cameras just to be up there for in case something happens, we've got something to look back on, correct? So. We are going to have consistent waste removal by a great Struthers grad of the 2000s, being a Kepler, and his business is called the Turd Bandit. We're going to have regulations clearly posted. What you see here is not what we would necessarily have, but this is a general one that you can find online. Multiple dog parks have multiple of these. In talking with the mayor, mowing would be done by the city, and waste stations they already have, so we'll have some of those coming up. So again, the goal is for residents to be picking up when their dogs go to the bathroom. However, we understand that doesn't always happen, and it's not from negligence, right? Like, you can have a senior citizen who's let their dog off the leash in the big area, who's playing with other dogs, who's chatting with someone who doesn't notice when their dog goes to the bathroom, and that's how it happens. Our committee will be doing regular cleanliness checks once, twice a week, each of us, so multiplied by the 5 people, that means pretty consistent. And, you know, if we know we're going to have a bunch of downpours or things like that, we are going to want to protect the grass and the land, so we'll be able to potentially lock it. We'll put in protocols on how and why we do that, just so it makes it best for our dogs. Because if you've been to what's out in Poland, next to the cemetery, what was beautiful last year from letting dogs run around through the winter is kind of now dirt and muddied over, and ideally we don't want to have to reseed every year. So as far as fundraising and outreach went, we did announce at City Cleanup Day. We sent a press release to local media after that, so that once the city knew them, we were able to put it out to local media. Hometown Journal was nice enough to do a write-up, and KBN and FMJ were also nice enough to feature us in our initial launch, which was really great. For fundraising, we've got resident levels of $30, $100, and $300. For $30, someone can get their family name or their dog's name put on what will essentially be a faux brick. We're going to get a large banner that looks like it's a brick wall and have people's dog names or family names put on it. For $300, your family can go ahead and have your name put on a bench. And then our corporate levels of $1,000 and $5,000 have larger signage, recognition when we put out other press releases for things that we're doing, and for when we do ribbon cuttings, openings, and things of the like. So what we've done so far and what we aim to do over the course of summer, again, City Cleanup Day, we announced, we gave out some cookies and some awareness postcards. We were at the first Music in the Park. We're going to be at the rest of them throughout the year. We have 10 yard signs that are slowly going up at our houses and around places at the city who allow us to, including Zedekers currently up on Youngstown Poland Road. We'll be at some other summer civic events. I know we had mentioned there is a car show coming. We aim to do some quarterly fundraisers, although we are still in the infancy phases of putting those together. Our website and then Premier Bank are where people can donate, and we've been doing social media grassroots fundraising with our Facebook page, Struthers Unleashed, and then just through kind of outreach to our own personal networks. So our key takeaways, again, we're meeting a primary desire of the Struthers residents as it came out of the Discover Struthers platform. Fully committed to doing this with no tax dollars. We picked our location after a rather long search. We're going to have clearly posted regulations once everything's up and going, and we want to have consistent upkeep and mowing with what we're doing. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions, obviously take any donations. And,
What are the hours?
Currently it'd be the same hours as the park, correct? Which is what, dawn to dusk, I would think?
That's good presentation.
Thank you.
I wish you would have brought it to us before.
I apologize for that. We were
Yeah.
working in concert with
Yeah.
the mayor and didn't know we had a
This
disconnect.
will be in my ward.
Okay.
And I had some citizens call, and they weren't basically against the dog park. They were more concerned about the noise. But I see that you have the tree buffer line there, which will dampen a lot, which is nice. But they also complain about the football noise as well. You know. But I like what I see. It's very professional, and I like the idea that you're going to keep the upkeep of it.
Yeah.
Because if I see grass growing up into the fence, I'm going to want to shut it down.
I understand
will
that,
be
yeah.
adamant about it. It's got to be clean, and it's got to be taken care of.
May I add something? This Matt Kepler, the turd bandit,
Yes.
he said he's going to do it gratis.
Right.
Because it's for Struthers.
And hopefully, if the people that use it clean up after their pet, it won't be
Yeah,
that much
but
of
he
a
said
burden.
at first, he goes, well, how often? And I said, gee, I don't know. So he said at first he'll go down there every day until he gets a feel for how often it needs cleaned up down there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 'cause,
that's
you know,
very generous.
It is a city park, and we don't want it to
Right.
smell like dog crap.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And Bob, I will accept responsibility for that because I should have had them come ahead of time, so
No,
I
but
apologize to council.
I like the presentation, and it was well done.
But you're right,
It's
I
very
should have
professional, I think.
Communicated this better
Yeah.
with council, so that I will take full
Before, because
responsibility for that.
basically council heard about it online and on the news, that
Okay.
that's where it was gonna be.
Sorry.
We
that
had no
happened.
idea, but,
Hey,
you know,
Bob.
with this presentation, I'm okay with it.
May I ask you, probably next week at our regular meeting, at the end of the agenda, bring a few of these and basically, you're probably not gonna be able to put it on the screen, but talk a little bit about what's on it, what you just told us, so the public can hear. It's not everybody's live streaming tonight, but if you come to the regular meetings and give the same talk, might help.
Or just one representative to explain.
You don't have to have everybody, but bring a few of these, along.
Yeah, we
But
can
I'm
do that.
happy with the explanation and the presentation, it looks good,
Yeah.
Me too.
and I
Yeah.
think it'll be nice.
Yeah, and you said the Rotary as well as we're gonna present to?
Yes, we're
Okay.
gonna have you present to the Rotary too, because I know they're always looking to donate to different things in Struthers, especially 501c3s.
Yeah, and anybody that you think we should be talking to, we're happy to talk to, right? Like that's, as we get into deep fundraising, like we've definitely been, month one was kind of getting our credibility up, and then month two is really starting to get aggressive with it, not be passive, but be more into it. Anybody that you would suggest, we're happy to
Now,
reach out.
the corporate signs, are they gonna go on the fence, or?
The idea is to have them
I don't want
wrapped
to
around
look
the
gaudy
fence.
either.
No, so ideally, and again, it's gonna come down to finances, but the vision would be, and I don't know that we get there for the initial launch, but I think vision would be like the imagery here, right? Like our people that helped us build the website gave us our whole kind of image kit, is to almost have those integrated into like the whole inside of the fence line has this sort of imagery within it, and then within that placed the different corporate sponsor logos.
And the other concern I had is that Struthers is overpopulated with pit bulls. And let's face it, they don't get along with other dogs. I don't care how tame they seem to be. How do we handle that problem?
That is something that as we get closer to it, we're gonna have to determine and define with our rules.
Now, do you have a separate for big dogs and little dogs, correct?
We do, yeah.
Yeah,
And we can even reach out and see how the other parks handle that, because I know
Yes.
one of the rules was no aggressive dogs.
Right.
So I think,
But we have an enormous
We do,
amount of
right?
pit
We
bulls
do.
in
We do.
Struthers. We
We do.
really
It's a
do.
higher percentage.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a big concern, and if they get loose or whatever with.
The dual
residents.
gates should, that I wouldn't be concerned about getting loose because of the dual gates. If they're loose, that's
I like that thought.
that's owner error on probably clipping, getting from the car to the
Yeah.
park. But the inside aggressiveness, that's the more of the concern that needs stopped with.
Especially with kids.
Now, will the security cameras maybe take care of that and ban those people from going in future?
We most certainly, whatever the city wants to do, we can. And ideally, we're able to put on each like edge post, so we're able to do identifications and stuff.
Good.
All right, that sounds good.
I wrote down a few questions.
Yeah.
So in some of them you did answer, as far as like even having, the cameras, which would help. So lighting we wouldn't need, cause it would be
No.
from dusk to dawn. So when we say dog bites and all that, what insurance is this covered under, or who's liable if there is something that happens up there? Like, does that fall back on the city, or because you posted the signs?
From what I've seen, it's all under owner's own risk. So, and I think the underlying coverage, if I think anything extremely egregious happens, winds up at the city. But we're talking, I don't think that's dog side, I think that's like human side.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I would think that the owner of the dog would be ultimately responsible. I mean,
Well,
if a dog
right
were
now,
to.
our ordinance says that the aggressive dogs have to have a $10,000 insurance policy on it as well.
Okay.
so I think we'd
If
fall
that's
back on
the
all of that.
rules Like you had right there.
Yeah.
You know, and that may be a place that we can get some of these other, I mean, and I don't know if that would be something that you'd be okay with, as far as maybe us putting some type of sign up as far as some of our city ordinances when it comes to dogs.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably, have like a
Yeah.
I
little,
mean, that would, you know,
like a
because you're
sign
gonna
like
be.
that with all the ordinances inside, what they could read.
Right,
That's a good idea.
yeah.
With the
Something to cover.
$10,000.
Yeah, and definitely looking to have whatever we put up as far as rules approved by you guys or by council, however is best, however the city wants to do that. We don't want to do it in a vacuum.
Yeah, I don't think people would have a problem at the surrounding people, as long as it's done properly and legally, and it sounds like it's on the right track,
Thank you.
The
so.
only other thing,
Yeah.
then, you said about picking up waste, so eventually probably that's not gonna happen with Turd Bandit. You think they're always gonna be around, so would the city just take over doing that? Let's say like, I mean, this park's gonna be there for a while, we're making it to stay, like, what are the chances that like, I mean, that's just a future thing.
I think
You
we
know.
would just sit down with the 501c3 and revisit it and come up with,
Revisit and
yeah,
see
or
what-
if there's another company out there other than than Matt,
There's
but
one-
he is a local guy,
Right.
and like they said, they're gonna be monitoring it as well.
But I'm
So
saying,
if
I'm
it-
sure at some point he's not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and,
mean, but that's fine,
It's a
if we
good
wanna
gesture
put
on
this,
his part, but
right,
it's
if
not
we
gonna
wanna
be
put this
forever,
in.
yeah.
yeah, and this, what we've seen here was version 1 of the park. Obviously, we might want to add shading, right, for some people, because if it's middle of the summer on a Saturday, you might want
Sure.
shade over. So those are things like a part of round 2 or version 2, and within that, if we find out that we're losing our gratis waste removal, we can budget for that, right? Ultimately, hopefully we never have to get to that point, but that's the final stopgap, right? Is the 501c3 budgets for someone to come in and do this once a week or something, or whatever we wind up determining is the amount of time we have to do it.
Well, and then like Boardman Park, right, you have to pay,
That's a paid one, correct?
Okay,
This would
so-
be free to all.
right, so you pay a fee, you have to show shot records, and you have to be registered.
Right.
So is that something that you would consider doing, or you wouldn't consider that at all?
For this community, I don't know that I would consider it. I don't know how many people would actually use it, or if there would be a return.
But at some point, we used to have, at the Struthers garage, that you could bring your pets and get rabies shots and
Okay.
stuff like, we could hold that there for donations.
We
as
still
well.
do at Mothy, we
Yeah,
have those,
okay.
we have those, the
But that would
clinics
be a
at
good
Mothy.
place to have it as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of positives.
I think we're all
Yeah.
very open to partnerships and, you
Sure.
know, I mean, we're, for the betterment, you know what I mean, we wanna make friends with everybody and
It's worth a shot to try anyway, and see how it goes.
So
If we're ever
my
gonna be
last thing would
fundraising
be,
also,
I was up there
stop
for
and stop.
baseball, and it is kind of crazy up there with the kids
Sure.
practicing. It's not moderate, it's going, so you think that's gonna be okay too, because there's a lot of activity. And I mean, and that's fine, as long as those dogs don't go after the kids. Now, I've gone up there and I talked to them, some of those Wildcat people, and
Okay.
they told me that you came up and said that they would close the dog park when the kids were practicing. So that's what I was told. So I just wanna make sure that somebody talks to them,
Mhm.
or make sure that, because, and it wasn't by just one person, there were 3 people up there. And they said that the dog park would be closed when the kids were practicing, and then they felt okay with that.
So we have not spoken with Struthers Little Wildcats. By
Okay.
we, I mean the 5 of us. But I believe the city has.
Yes, I've
Correct.
spoken to multiple board members.
Okay.
It wasn't anything they voted on, we talked with them about it. There's some, they're joining different leagues and things like that. We talked to them, we explained to them it would be in the, where it would be, the location and everything. But what I said was, if it ever became a problem where the dogs were getting out and running around, we could sit down and that, we could close it during certain hours, if it gets to that point.
Okay.
There are some people that are acting like there's gonna be thousands of dogs running, and that's just not the case. So if it were to become a problem where dogs were getting out and they were running through the kids and through the practices, that's obviously an issue. We would have to sit down and revisit how to do
Is
that,
it a-
that's what I said.
Is
I
it a
never-
possibility to, on the field side of the fence, to grow some hedges there where the dogs wouldn't notice the kids? Like, you know,
Yeah,
you ever go
I
up
see what you're
Clinging Road
saying.
and
Yeah.
see where they have the hedges by the tennis courts there?
Yeah.
Something like that, where the dogs wouldn't even notice the kids.
Yeah.
I think that's easy to do. It's cost, right?
Right,
It's
it's
not,
all cost,
it's not an
but
enormous
then again, maybe
cost,
some
but-
landscapers would donate that.
Yeah, possibly.
You know, I mean, you don't need that many shrubs to go, well,
Well,
it's
maybe,
150 feet.
maybe if they put the signs up on that way too.
That's true too.
You know what I mean?
And we've been at other dog parks too, where dog owners don't necessarily wanna take their dogs where there's a bunch of kids running around,
Sure,
cause then they're
yeah.
barking. So that's, we're talking about
Probably early
Mid-June
morning.
for a couple months, from 5 to 7 or 5:30 to 7, that there'll be kids there, so.
Right, and if you think windows, right, like if it's August at 5 o'clock, I don't know that I'm taking my dog in the pure heat. I'm going at like 7:30.
Sure.
Right, and and this is all anecdotal. When I go to the Poland Dog Park during the week, it's usually like 4 to 6 people. When I've gone there or gone to Austintown on the weekends, that's when you're having 9 to 12 dogs running around, and people stay with their dogs for about 20, 30 minutes. Dog runs around a lot, gets tired, and then they're off, and it's just a kind of a continuous flow of folks. Is how it goes. And you know, with where this is located, if someone's coming at the height of a practice, parking's already kind of going to be like it's going to be a trick to kind of get back there.
Yeah,
So
it
I
does
think
get
that
pretty
just human nature discourages a little bit. So that's where I don't see a huge concern.
But I've been talking with them at length, so I know they're willing to sit down, if it does become a problem or
They
anything
said that,
like
that's
that,
what they
we
said,
can-
they,
Yeah.
you know, they did
Yeah.
say that, you know, they were okay with whatever, as long as it went smooth. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you
Yeah.
what they said
Yeah.
about being closed.
If
And I-
someone's letting their dog loose to go running around all those kids, they should get kicked out of there anyway.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's not a
But
good
right
idea.
now, that's what,
Yeah.
people take their dogs up there now and just let them run around.
Yeah.
That happens without the fence, which isn't what's supposed to be happening there anyway, so.
Right.
A very good presentation.
Yes, I'm
That
pleased with it.
put us to the point
Okay.
where,
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I am too.
Cool.
I am too.
And if you wanna send anybody to our website, has all that information and we're gonna keep it live, keep it up to date, so if you need to
And
reference
you know,
anybody,
we
say,
can
hey,
even-
check out the
We can even
website.
put the city laws on that website as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can send those.
Great, good presentation.
How are you gonna have, like, from the street, how are you gonna let people know that that's there? If somebody's driving through the city of Struthers, how are they gonna know that that's tucked way back there?
That is going to be up to you guys and where we can put a sign. Like
We can do
where
that
the
just
Grim
in
Eagle
person.
Park sign is,
Yeah.
or we put like a little dog
Yeah.
park thing or not. That's
Cause I mean, it's really out of sight, so,
Yeah.
you know, you kinda, if you do have it, you want people to know it's there.
Well,
And
there's
it's
that
supposed-
existing sign, even if we could put another little
Sure, right
piece
underneath
of
it.
wood dog park, or something, whatever.
Well, hopefully we're getting new signs next year. Those are fairly, really old signs. The Hamilton one, the Nevo's,
But we could just be a piece of, you know,
culture.
Grim
Yeah.
Nevo piece.
All right.
Nice part too about the Nebo Park, I've spent a lot of time there. You have a lot of natural boundaries where the dog does get loose. You're fenced in on the Oakland side, all the way, there's fence coming all the way around and towards the entrance. In the back is nothing but a 50-foot or deeper hollow, which no dog can get around. And then it circles around the tree line, there's woods, and back over the other side. So it's kind of, there's some natural boundaries to it that are kind of nice if you're not real familiar with.
and this park is one of the ones, when you go through the comprehensive plan, we want to develop the other parks that we have. We can't keep stuffing everything at Moffy and everything there.
Yeah,
We
I've been
want
trying
to
to get
turn,
swing sets there for a while now,
well, we can,
up at Nebo
Yeah.
Park. I wanna get a playground
Yeah.
up there. Because
It used to be
park.
there.
Yeah, it used to be there, yeah. Actually, there used to be bathrooms there as well, with that brick building in the
There
back.
there were bathrooms. They're still there, but the roof's gone.
Yeah,
and that's something, the little Wildcats have been working with people too. They just got one of they had a plumber come up and fix something there.
yeah.
So they've been,
And that'd be a plus for the
Maintaining
dog
that
park
building.
as well,
Yeah.
because then it'd be nice to have a hand washing station there as well if they're picking up poop. So,
Mm-hmm.
There's water,
Or a
there's
dog
water
water
there
station.
too,
yeah.
with the bathrooms. I mean,
Right.
it's probably shut off, but there is water
Sure,
lines going
yeah.
through there.
and our street department's still gonna be in, they cut it anyways, but that's what we talked with them. As long as we can get a zero turn through those gates.
Yeah.
And if you did, and we already have the doggy pods, that it would just move over a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll be back next week.
Okay.
Yeah, that way everybody will hear you,
Yeah,
those that tune in anyway.
Fine.
after we get a whole lot of people, if you can bring a few of these along.
Yeah, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before I ask for adjournment, as far as parks go, is there a chance we could get another musical act in
Yes.
this summer?
Yes,
Okay,
we have a lot of Thursdays open. Karen Edwards
Okay.
actually approached us at your concert,
okay,
and she wanted to know, she said, if I pay and sponsor for this to happen, can we? And I said, well, you just have to cover the cost of the musician, because that's all we pay, we just
right,
try to advertise, but that's something, even at the beginning, when we sit down and go through schedules, if you wanna add more, we can add,
okay.
yes, and if
Because
we
I-
get sponsors like you were talking about last
Yeah.
time,
I've got somebody has approached me about it, so, yeah, I'll see what I
The
can do
cost,
too.
though, that's just where either we would have to find a sponsor or we would have to see if it, cause I think we did up to 4,000 for the budget.
Right.
Correct.
And I think the total was like 3750 or something, so we have a few extra dollars there, but that's, if we can find sponsors, that's what I told Karen, if you find someone to pay for it,
Okay,
and the park's open, the more music we can have there, the better, I think.
yeah, that's how I look at it, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you did an awesome job.
that was one of the
You-
biggest crowds we've
I
had.
was, yes,
You were there? Where?
I sat on a park bench.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah,
see
Matt
you.
and I sat
Oh, no
and
kidding.
listened and,
Oh,
and then
okay.
Candace, we sat and listened to Candace for a little while too.
Okay.
But yes, very enjoyable, it was
Oh.
a really nice evening.
Yeah.
You brought
We had a
all of them
nice
over
crowd
the
of people.
boulevard.
Yeah, maybe that's why there was a crowd of people. But yeah, you did an
Oh,
awesome
thanks.
job.
Yeah, thanks. All right, well, does anybody have anything else for this committee? Okay, need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Thanks for coming.
Meeting adjourned.